she goes.
I'm with Laurie Hernandez. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here with you, just because. And so, for those of you who don't know, which I think is very few people, she's an Olympic gymnast, and she brought home the gold for the Americans, which always makes me proud. So we're still proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
In the next Olympics a year. So how'd you like Brazil?
I thought it was great. I mean, staying at the Olympic Village at the Olympics, it was just athletes, coaches, and trainers, and so it was crazy that no civilians or no natives could actually come into there. But it was cool that we had our own little area to hang out in.
That's just, I would think that the environment, I know that you all talked about the team, but doesn't it also feel competitive at the same time?
I mean, it does feel competitive, but it's competitive because that's just the nature of the sport, not because you genuinely just want to beat out everybody. You just want to be the best athlete you can be. And I think at the Olympics, you also recognize the fact that you're representing your country, and so you just want to do that to the best of your abilities. And at that point, it doesn't leave much room to just be like, I'm going to beat you out.
Yeah. Do you still talk to your former teammates?
I try to. Yeah. I mean, we're all pretty scattered along the U.S.
Because you know, we think of you guys as all working together and walking. You still walk around together to us mentally, you know. Like.
I mean, I walk around mentally. I would hope that they do too. But I mean, we try to keep in touch with them. Again, it's a little crazy because we're all scattered. But yeah. You've
been a busy woman since you left the Olympics. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. I don't see you obviously wearing your medal. Where are those medals?
They're in a safe somewhere.
You don't know where your medals are?
Oh, I know exactly where my medals are.
Oh, you're not disclosing it, right? Yeah. So my next question would definitely be, how do you prepare for something that big? Because when I watch you, I just see everybody pointing a camera in your face, right? And then, of course, everybody has a comment, and then you hear the cheers. Yeah. Does any of that make you nervous?
It does. I always I would joke that there are different stages of preparing for a meet, and like the first one is always freaking out, just because like you just realize exactly what's going on. You realize that you're going to the Olympics and that you're about to compete in front of all these people. But then the second one would be like, okay, how can I make it better for myself? And then you start going through a different mindset even when you're training. And once you're out there, it's just all muscle memory. And it's just making sure that you can give yourself little pep talks and be confident when you're out there.
Even at the Olympics?
Yes, even at the Olympics. That's definitely the one time you should go out there and just... Sometimes you just have to be your own hype man, and even when you don't feel that way, if you are just faking it and saying, you know what, I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm strong, I'll be fine, I've been working for this. If you can just say those things over and over, at some point your brain starts to believe it, and it makes you feel a lot better.
I always wonder with you all, is there something we're not seeing off camera that, you know, 'cause obviously the cameras follow you around, but they can't find every single moment. I mean, are you sneaking in a texting? Are you allowed to even have your cell phones when you're out?
Rio, definitely not. I've never been one to grab my phone in between a meet. I'm trying to think if I've ever done that before. I don't think I ever have. At that point, everything kind of fades, and you realize that what's most important is right in front of you. And so thinking about anything else is really hard to do.
So do you still feel like this is I mean, you've gotten the gold, right? So what's next? I mean, do you still feel like this is something to achieve, or is a continued passion? How do you feel about basically gymnastics and what you do as an athlete?
Yeah, it definitely still feels like a continued passion. I think I've been able to take about 1.5 years off of the sport, and I think it was definitely something that was well needed mentally, physically, and just taking a break and being able to branch out and see other things, and being able to also let my body rest. And now I'm excited and I miss it. And also with the Winter Olympics that are going on, and some sports that have finished already, it's definitely like a little fire to look at it and be like, oh man, sentimental, like closing ceremonies and whatnot.
So when I watch you perform, right, I'm watching two parts, and I'm not an athlete, so I don't know all the technicality, but it looks athletic, and then it also looks entertaining, right? I see you prance around. That's what really caught my eye about you.
Thank you.
It's the way you dance around, and then you do the athletics. And so would you say it's a fair thing to say it's part entertainment and dancing and part athletics?
I think so. I think the entertainment comes more from, we have like a code of points that you have to follow. Especially, I think the entertainment is definitely most recognized on the floor exercise, just because we have music, we're dancing, we're doing all these crazy tumbling passes. But a lot of that is part of the code of points. You have to there's like they call it a floor part. You have to like have your whole body on the ground for about 3 seconds, and then 3 out of 4 of your tumbling passes have to start off with one leg, and all these different rules that they have.
How do you remember that?
Well, I mean, at some point, you know, you have coaches and you have people who are guiding you and showing you your routine. So at some point, you just do your routine. You don't think about that stuff at all. It's just muscle memory, and you're remembering what you're doing. But I think also the entertainment comes from gymnastics progressing within every year and every quad. I mean, if you go back to when the Olympics had first started, you see cartwheels and forward rolls and you know, front walkovers and all these different things, and now girls are doing double twisting, double backflips, and that's not enough. So it's really, really cool and scary and exciting and all these different emotions to see the sport progress.
Mm-hmm. So you're a good dancer.
Thank you.
Great dancer. Actually, I was watching you on YouTube with your older clip of Dancing with the Stars. I mean, do you consider yourself a good dancer?
I mean, I like to dance.
Yeah, I say own it. Obviously, you're a good dancer.
I mean, when I was little, my dad would pull me to the side and he would count rhythm in songs, and so I think I grew up listening to music that he liked. We listened to Casey and the Sunshine Band and Earth, Wind and Fire and all the original, like, very just, you can hear every instrument and all of it is kind of live and very just emotional and raw, and it was cool to be able to grow up to that. And I think that carried on with me as I did gymnastics. I was able to hear certain instruments that I guess, you know, maybe some people might not catch on at first.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. You are so mature for your age, and I know you probably get that
you.
A lot.
Only sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting to see because you have a lot of pressure and you have a lot of spotlight. And then at the same time, I feel like I see the beautiful, youthful part of you.
Thank you.
So, do you feel like you're a regular teenager?
Not quite. I mean, only just because my childhood and the things and the decisions that I picked at a very young age were different than, I guess, the average child. I mean, in 3rd grade, we took our yearbook photos, and I went in a leotard for my
choice
for my yearbook photo. So I went in a pink leotard, and they asked me what I wanted to be when I was older, and I didn't want to jinx it and say the Olympics, so I said astronaut, I think. But it was just crazy to see that at such a young age. My mindset was already onto that. But it really wasn't until 9 that I realized that was something that I wanted to do. So it's just really cool to see everything fall in place.
It's interesting how you put that. It wasn't until you were 9. You know, like I think I was 24 when I figured out what I wanted to do. So yeah, I think I don't think you're the average teenager.
Thank you.
In a good way. So they call you the human emoji. Do you think it's a well-deserved title?
I think it suits me. I think for gymnastics, we're known to just be very stoic and focused and not show anything or any emotion on our face. And it's not because we're being snobby. And, you know, you see a lot of movies where they picture gymnasts as just being snobby and angry, and there's rarely any of that. It's more just because we're so focused on what we're doing that we have a natural resting face. But I couldn't help but be so excited when I was competing, and I would definitely feed off the crowd's energy. So the louder they cheered, the more excited I got and the better I would do. And someone said, oh, she makes all these faces in her floor routine. She's like the human emoji, and it stuck. So I agree with it. I think it suits me.
I think it suits you, and also your eyes. They're
thank you.
piercing. And
Thank you.
You can kind of share why you're here with everybody, and it's a conference that's actually focused on eye health, but I think you're like the perfect spokesperson to talk about eyes because your eyes are so big and piercing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So how do you keep your eyes healthy?
I think the biggest thing to keep my eyes healthy is to make sure that my mom had told me, especially at a very young age, that she loves to follow everything I love to do. She loves to follow, you know, the things that I feel I'm creative at, but my health always comes first to her. And so she would take me to the optometrist every year and take me to all other appointments annually just to make sure that me and my siblings were okay. And in 2012, we had gone to the optometrist and you know, we did our typical checkup, and he had noticed that my vision had changed a little bit, but we figured that glasses wouldn't be a good fit for gymnastics just because it would be too much of a distraction. So he recommended Daly's contact lenses, and we I just went with those right away, and it was the perfect fit. It didn't feel like anything was in my eye, but I still noticed that everything was a lot cooler being able to see it better, not realizing that my vision had changed.
I mean, you'd have to be able to see it. Like when I watch some of the videos and they're like, oh, that she kept her eyes on the beam. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You have to be able to see.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the things that you're looking out for? Like I heard in another interview, actually, before we got a chance to sit down and talk, you're talking about the tape here and the.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't know that. What are the things that while you're running or you're flipping or you're jumping and you're doing all these incredible things, what are you also looking for?
There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of, we call it spotting in gymnastics. So when you're upside down, you're looking for the floor. When you're on the balance beam and you're upside down, or maybe you just, you're in a position where you can't see the beam, the goal is to look for it as best as you can, or to spot certain objects on the beam to make sure that you're landing in the right spot. And so spotting was just a lot easier when you can see properly and when you have the contacts in, because also you don't realize that they're in your eyes, so you're not focused on your eyes, you're focused on what you're doing, which makes gymnastics a lot easier.
How do you like Atlanta? Have you gotten a chance to see it?
I've been to Atlanta a few times and I haven't seen too much of it, but what I do see, I love it. It's like a very toned down version of New York City, I feel.
It's great. And I feel like it's grown over the past maybe 20 years.
It has grown.
Yeah, it has grown. And if you love food, this is a great town to be in.
Your girl loves food. Nice.
I love food, yeah. A little bit too much. It shows.
No, you look beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Lori, Lori said I look beautiful, so now
you do.
That made my day. So I know that you did a book, right? You wrote a book. Do you see yourself writing another one?
I do. I do.
Oh, I think I hit a chord right there. Yeah.
Can it? Okay. So towards the end of the year, I'm actually coming out with a children's book.
Oh, you are?
I am. Yes.
Why a children's book?
So, we had gotten like a lot of. Well, for starters, gymnastics, especially the age group, is definitely targeted to younger kids. You start off when you're so young, and so. My original, my first book was called "I Got This," because being that that was one of the quotes that I had actually whispered to myself before I started competing, and so it was basically just my story of getting to the Olympics. But the children's book is called. Can I say what it's called? Like it's called "She's Got This," and it's adorable.
It's just for anybody, because this is our family who's listening, our AJC family. She keeps looking. Is that your publicist?
My agent.
Oh, your agent. Yeah, that's what she's asking. Can I say this? And so, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and how is that different writing from obviously it has to be different writing from the first book, the second book. I mean, they're two different audiences. Which one do you like better?
I don't necessarily have a favorite audience. I think that just being able to reach out, the fact that I'm able to reach out to different audiences, I think is so cool. Like the first book was targeted towards tweens and teens, and being able to see how they've reacted to the book and they've really liked it. I'm just hoping that, little girls will be able to have this book and grow up with it, just as I've grown up with some of my favorite kids' books. So.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah. I'm still looking to write a book. And
you should do it. It's fun. It's cool. It's a little bit difficult, but it's fun.
That's great. So 2020.
I would love to.
So how do you plan to get there?
Well, for starters, it's definitely going to be a gradual build to get back to where I was, especially back in 2016. We don't plan on rushing anything, but I would love to come back. I still love the sport and I have a big passion for it.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that you have the same pressure to perform at the level that you did? You brought home some beautiful medals for the country. You. So do you feel like you have to repeat that performance, or?
I definitely try to keep that idea that I have to repeat and be just as good. I think I try to just think more of I'm coming back because I still love it and I want to branch out and see all the different skills that I may be able to do and see what else I can do. Because gymnastics, I feel like with age, it's a very limited sport compared to other sports. You see swimmers and runners at the Olympics who can be 30, 40, and with gymnastics, it seems like 20, 24 is a really tough age to keep building. So I would love to just, keep building and see how far I can go. I love testing limits.
So can we have a girlfriend moment?
We can.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yes.
So first of all, your hair.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know who does if you do your hair or.
Oh, I can do my hair. I'm I've kinky curls. So.
What I'm looking at, just to describe, is beautifully slicked back, and then this
thank
flowy
you.
ponytail. I mean, do you have any secrets of how you keep your hair so healthy and nice? And
I mean, stay away from heat as much as you can, even though my hair is dead straight right now and I have very curly curls. So that was just very hypocritical advice. But I think the biggest thing is just to, I had advice, which was just not to go to bed with it wet, or if you are going to go to bed with it wet, don't tie it up in a bun. It's just not healthy for your hair, and to let it down as much as you can. And I think usually my curl routine would be to, I don't use shampoo that often because it dries out my curls and my hair hates it. So it's just making sure that I'm using that every so often. Yeah, I have a whole thing for my hair.
Oh, very nice.
A whole thing.
So where are your parents right now?
My parents work. So my mom is a social worker in Perth Amboy in Willen School, and my dad is a court clerk in New York.
Very nice.
That's so cool.
So what did they think about you, basically? I mean, you travel the world. And you do what very, very grown people do. Obviously, you're grown, but I feel like you live the dream a lot of adults do. So what do your parents think about you basically progressing this fast and succeeding this early? What do they say to you? Or do they still make you clean your room?
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm still taking out the trash and doing the dishes, and that has not changed at all. And I'm very happy that it hasn't, because they've just grown with me as I've grown as a person. They've just grown with all the dreams that I've had, and they really are the best. I think a lot of times if you're 5 years old and being like, I want to go to the Olympics, most parents would be like, yeah, okay, like you're nuts. But instead, my parents were like, she wants to go. Okay, what can we do to get her there? And that was their first reaction. And that was really cool to be a kid and watch them support everything I did. It showed me that, like, I didn't have to have any limits. So.
Nice. Well, speaking
Go
of
Mom and Dad.
Go Mom and Dad.
Go Mom and Dad.
So speaking of no limits, what would be the piece of advice that you would leave young people with?
Don't let other people create limits and boundaries for your goals and dreams. And also, things are going to scare you, but try not to be too afraid of them and just go for it anyways. I think those are my two biggest things, is just to, at this point, we're in 2018. There aren't very many limits. You're able to go out and branch out and try to be as creative as you want to be, and shoot for the biggest goals as you want. Like, let them scare you. Let the goals scare you. That means it's good.
If you can't do it in faith, do it in fear, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I love it. Laurie Hernandez, Olympic gold medalist.
Chicken nugget.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to Access Atlanta at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep those eyes pretty. Huh?
Thank you so much.